Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers profanity, the First Amendment, and excessive force, and is brought to us by the Random Patriots channel and 50 Media's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve.
Before we dive into the interaction, I want to give a big thanks to the sponsor of this episode, Fume. We all have bad habits. Mine was the kind where you think you're doing so well going without it. But then, as soon as you're out with friends and see them reaching for their bad habits, you can't help but ask to borrow theirs, and that triggers a downward spiral. Well, what if I told you there's a better alternative that helps you kick your bad habit in an enjoyable way? Something you can take with you anywhere you go. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that draws flavor to your mouth, not your lungs, which makes it a great way to satisfy your oral fixation with non-toxic flavors, free from nicotine or vapor, and it's safe to use anywhere. Flavored air isn't like vaping. If vapor was compared to sticky soda, Fume cores are closer to herbal teas. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint and orange vanilla. With flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. I'm loving the spearmint ice flavor, and the clicky and spinny parts of the device keeps my hands busy whenever I'm bored. Fume has already helped over 300,000 people build better habits. Try Fume today, and if you order the Journey Pack now using my code AUDIT, you'll get a free Fume topper, an awesome accessory to level up your experience. Go to tryfume.com/audit or scan the QR code on screen. Thanks again to Fume for sponsoring today's episode.
On December 4th, 2024, Captain Colin Lillard of the Dover Marshal's Office in Dover, Arkansas, arrested Cody Duos for disorderly conduct when he was with his brother Dylan, who was attempting to make a record request in the Marshal headquarters in City Hall. Dylan filmed the alleged offense and the subsequent arrest.
But you didn't ask me. You didn't ask me that. You didn't ask me that business. Just get out. I'm telling you, can back the off of you too.
Dude, you're not gonna curse if I place you go to jail. Freedom of speech. You're under arrest. Disorderly conduct.
I'm saying freedom of speech.
Yeah, okay. All right. You got cuff on you? All right. Yeah, I said you guys get out.
Oh, now you're telling us to get out.
I'm publicly.
Okay. Videotaping.
I am.
Videotaping right there.
Dude, you're not walking up on me while I'm arresting somebody.
Okay, well, we're going to stand back, but this is public property, buddy.
It is.
I'm taking your bags, bud.
On December 9th, 2024, independent journalist Justin McHenry, the owner of the Random Patriot YouTube channel, and independent journalist 50 Media went to City Hall to submit a FOIA request regarding Mr. Duo's arrest. While they were inside the building, the Duo's brothers, who had accompanied them but had not entered the building, saw Captain Lillard. Cody flipped him off, and Captain Lillard allegedly threatened to arrest him again for giving the middle finger. After hearing the brothers' story, Mr. McHenry and his associates then returned to City Hall, with Mr. McHenry carrying a sign featuring the same four-letter word that Mr. Duos was arrested for using. Mr. McHenry and 50 Media filmed the encounter that followed.
So, Captain Lillard wants to double down. He arrests a guy for saying the F word. He says inside the City Hall, so he arrests him. He then sees the guy a week later, and he flips the cop off. He flips off the captain, and Captain Lillard says, "You better quit using that middle finger in public. You're about to go to jail again." This was today, actually. So here we are. Let's see if he wants to take me to jail. Let's go look in Captain Lillard's car. Got a cell phone in there, some kind of notepad. What does that notepad say? Captain Lillard's a coward. I never touched your car, son. I never touched your car, son. I'm not gonna have to do shit, son.
Huh?
I'm not doing shit.
Okay. Don't you touch the car.
I never touched it.
Matter of fact, just go ahead and step away.
Nah, I'm good. You arrest people for saying.
Well, you know what? It's disorderly conduct.
No,
if you
it's
say
not.
it in the right context.
No, it's not.
In the right place.
No, it's not.
Dude,
I promise you it's not. Can I tell you a couple things that...
listen, I know the case law on it. Okay?
Oh, what is it then? Well, then why'd you arrest someone over it if you know the case law?
Because it's in a public place. Okay?
It's allowed to be. Cohen versus California was in a city hall.
Right.
Cohen versus California was in a city hall, you dumb... You ignorant piece who arrest free Americans for saying... You better back off.
You threatening him?
Get out of my face. Get out of my face, you coward.
I'm here. You're here.
You step to me. You have bad breath. Get the fuck out of my face.
Nice, ain't it?
You're a coward little... You are a coward, anti-American
don't even
You're
know.
anti-freedom. You ain't nothing.
Why do y'all hate? Why y'all hate on
You
cops?
ain't nothing, dude.
Yeah.
Because
No,
you don't
like
follow the
cops.
law.
I don't.
Hey, I gave you.
Like you.
Listen, do you want to give me the opportunity to have a conversation?
Lillard, you're a
Real conversation.
Look up Cohen versus California.
I appreciate your
Look up
advice, everybody.
Terrerage versus Fort Smith. Terrerage versus Fort Smith, right here in Arkansas. You dumb. You're a loser.
Mr. McHenry cites the cases Cohen versus California and Torreiraja versus Fort Smith in support of his argument that Mr. Duo's arrest was unlawful. In the 2019 case of Torreiraja versus Fort Smith, the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, which has jurisdiction over Arkansas, held in applying Arkansas's disorderly conduct statute that, quote, with limited exceptions, even profanity is protected speech, and that, now quoting again, criticism of law enforcement officers, even with profanity, is protected speech. Likewise, the Supreme Court held in the 1971 case of Cohen versus California that the use of profanity is protected by the First Amendment. In this case, an individual by the name of Paul Cohen was arrested and convicted of violating California's Disturbing the Peace statute for wearing a jacket that was decorated with the F word in a public courthouse. The Supreme Court overturned the conviction, ruling that, now quoting, the state may not, consistently with the First and 14th Amendments, make the simple public display here involved of this single four-letter expletive a criminal offense. In reaching this conclusion, the court determined that the use of this word, on its own, was not inherently likely to cause violent reaction, and rejected the argument that, quote, the states, acting as guardians of public morality, may properly remove this offensive word from the public vocabulary. Additionally, the court noted the difficulties in determining which words were sufficiently, quote-unquote, offensive for the government to be permitted to ban them, arguing that, now quoting, while the particular four-letter word being litigated here is perhaps more distasteful than most others of its genre, it is nevertheless often true that one man's vulgarity is another's lyric. Indeed, we think it is largely because government officials cannot make principled distinctions in this area that the Constitution leaves matters of taste and style so largely to the individual. The court also discussed the fact that an individual's word choice often serves to express specific emotions as well as ideas, concluding that the First Amendment protects the emotive aspects of speech as well as the mental, and that forbidding particular words would result in a substantial risk of suppressing ideas in the process. It is important to note, however, that despite the protection the First Amendment provides for profanity, there may be instances where the use of profanity may result in a lawful arrest, such as when it is combined with disruptive or violent conduct, or when it rises to the level of so-called fighting words that are likely to incite immediate violence. However, a court would likely find that the mere use of profanity without more could not provide probable cause for an arrest.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah. Loser right here. Loser, anti-American, anti-freedom, loser, arrest people because they said a bad word in public. Who the does that besides a loser like you?
Get a job.
Get a job. How about you get a different job because you don't know how to do yours? You don't arrest anyone for saying do it again, mother, and watch what happens. You're done. It's over for you. It's over for you. You're done. Keep driving, you coward.
This guy's deal, man.
Well, you know,
I'll talk to you, man. If you
Okay.
listen, you just turn that off and talk to me normal. I'm not,
No.
Well,
I don't do
I'm not
off the
making
record
you.
stuff.
I'm not making you a YouTube video. Thanks. No.
What?
I'll talk to you. I don't want to talk to a YouTube video.
well, but then you're gonna say things that I can't verify.
Dude, I'll talk to you. Well, if you don't trust me, you got no business talking to me anyway. If you think I'm.
Well,
if you
why
don't
would
think I'm-
honestly? Why
listen,
would I trust you when you already infringed on a citizen's rights already?
Dude, it's
Why'd you
hey,
do
this is
that?
hey, this is a one-on-one
Why'd you
conversation.
still do that?
It's a one-on-one conversation.
you're a
here. You want to
tyrant?
come in?
Well, you know, he's upset. I'm upset, but I you know, I have
You
I
seem a
have
little
a cooler
reasonable.
head.
If you, I mean, if you
And
insist on that.
I have to. Okay.
But
So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about what happened with Cody
no, I'm not,
Duos.
listen, we have, it hasn't been adjudicated yet.
Okay.
Okay? And I'm not going to do that.
Can you tell me
wait.
if you believe that it was disorderly conduct?
Oh, yeah.
Freedom of speech?
I wouldn't have arrested him if he wouldn't have been disorderly. Here, I'll show you the law on it if you like.
I've read the law extensively.
Okay, well then,
So did you have any prior interactions with Mr. Duos or his brothers?
dude, I'm not here for your video, man. You turn your video, I'll talk to you. I don't, listen, I'm not interested in you putting these out trying to make money off of it or whatever it is y'all do.
This
or
is
try to,
this is more about accountability of public officials.
Yeah.
This isn't about trying to shame you. He is.
Yeah, he is for sure.
I assure you that. what my position is to help citizens whose rights have, I believe, have been infringed upon, get the legal counsel that they deserve. Or at least see that the departments that violate those civil rights do some corrective action to make sure it stops.
Yeah, and I'll be real surprised if you don't edit this out, but Arkansas law 571-207-3, in a public place uses abusive or obscene language or makes an obscene gesture in a manner likely to provoke a violent or disorderly response.
So what was the obscene language that he used?
Listen, I'm not going into all that, but anyway,
you're saying obscene language. You're citing a statute, but you're not telling anyone.
But 571-207, you can Google it.
I've Googled it, and here's the thing. Like,
anyway, maybe get
here we are.
some. Yeah.
This is Lillard. He cited the law based off what he read off the internet, but he clearly doesn't want to understand that what he did was illegal, because the middle finger is not a threat of violence. Saying you can say all day long to a police officer and they can do nothing to you because that's constitutionally protected free speech. Now, if I say, I'm gonna kick your, that's different. But if I say you, that's also different. I can say you all day long to a cop and they can do nothing. So this cop is a tyrant and he doesn't know the Constitution.
Captain Lillard claims that the state disorderly conduct statute authorized him to arrest Mr. Duos for using profanity, and 5-0 Media argues that this statute does not apply to the simple use of profanity. Section 5-71-207 of the Arkansas Code states that, quote, a person commits the offense of disorderly conduct if, with the purpose to cause public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, or recklessly creating a risk of public inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm, he or she, in a public place, uses abusive or obscene language, or makes an obscene gesture in a manner likely to provoke a violent or disorderly response. Now, while the statute does prohibit quote-unquote abusive or obscene language, the Supreme Court of Arkansas held in the 1998 case of Bailey v. State that in order for a statute to be consistent with the First Amendment, it only prohibits so-called fighting words, which the U.S. Supreme Court defined in the 1942 case of Chaplinsky v. New Hampshire as, now quoting, those which by their very utterance inflict injury or tend to incite an immediate breach of the peace. In the 2007 case of McDermott v. Royal, the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals held that an individual's speech and conduct did not amount to fighting words when she waved her arms and yelled profanities at the officers. Likewise, in the 1991 case of Buffkins v. City of Omaha, the Eighth Circuit found that officers did not have probable cause to arrest an individual for using fighting words when she called an officer a quote-unquote asshole, as her speech, now quoting, would not reasonably have prompted a violent response from the arresting officers. In reaching this conclusion, the court cited the 1986 Supreme Court case of Houston v. Hill, where, now quoting from that case, the Supreme Court recognized that the so-called fighting words doctrine may be limited in the case of communications addressed to properly trained police officers because police officers are expected to exercise greater restraint in their response than the average citizen. As the Supreme Court explained in the Houston case, now quoting, the First Amendment protects a significant amount of verbal criticism and challenge directed at police officers. The freedom of individuals verbally to oppose or challenge police action without thereby risking arrest is one of the principal characteristics by which we distinguish a free nation from a police state. Accordingly, it is highly unlikely that a court would agree with Captain Lillard's assertion that the Arkansas disorderly conduct statute allows him to arrest individuals for merely using profanity.
He drove over there to go check the tags on my truck.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Yeah.
He just came out, got in his car just to drive over there to go look at your tags and come back. He did that.
What is that, harassment?
That's intimidation tactics for sure.
There's a lot of people that had been having problems with them.
Yeah, I don't.
Really saying anything about it.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me, dude. He's dumb.
You got a little taste of how he is.
Oh, he wants to know.
I'm curious.
They arrest people for saying the F word. So I'm showing him it's completely legal. And then he tried to get in my face and wanted me to fight him.
I haven't had a pleasant experience with the marshals.
You've never had a pleasant? Really?
Not like last year, but other than that. So
That's
I
what
was just
happens.
curious
Yep.
as to what.
It's because they're scum.
would.
Yep. You have a great day.
good.
Yeah, thank you. All right. I need to do some breathing. I need to calm down again. I get worked up.
Sir, no
I'm sorry to hear that. Hey, well, no, do you want to learn something?
It offends me.
Hey.
Not while I'm looking
Look
at it.
up.
Offends me.
Okay, then don't look at it.
You are offending
Here you go. I got it down so you can't see it. Are you okay? So look up Cohen versus California on your computer.
I don't have time to do that. I'm trying to.
Well, then you'll see what I'm doing completely legal, and you being offended doesn't stop it from being legal. It's a Supreme Court case rule called Cohen versus California. Look it up. You've never seen a swear word before? You ever seen a rated R movie?
You're making me feel very uncomfortable.
Have you ever seen a rated R?
Afraid.
Have you seen a rated R movie?
Listen, hey, they're not law enforcement. They do nothing, man. Y'all can do that to me all you want, but don't come up here.
I wasn't doing anything to her.
Don't harass us.
I wasn't.
Are they making y'all uncomfortable?
Yes, they're scaring me.
Okay.
I'm not doing
All right,
anything.
yeah. There you go. Just
Listen,
protest outside.
Cohen versus California.
They're trying to work in here.
Cohen
They're
versus,
trying to work in here.
Cohen, do not touch me.
Well,
Cohen versus
you're gonna-
California
listen, you
was
need to-
inside City Hall. That's what I'm doing.
Well, go do it in California, man.
No, that's a Supreme Court case rule for
I
not whole United States, bro.
Okay.
Don't touch me. Get the out of my face, too.
Dude, okay, see, that's what just got this last guy.
Do it.
In jail.
Do it.
I mean, we got ladies here that are non-law enforcement.
It doesn't matter. It's free speech, bro. You're making a bigger scene than I ever was. Get out of here.
You're up here harassing these ladies.
I wasn't. I walked in and she freaked out. Otherwise, I wasn't going to say anything to her. I said, look up Cohen versus California. Nicely.
Is this what you need to have meaning in your life, really?
Freedom, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Is this your idea of
I
freedom?
need freedom. Well, when I see someone like you taking it away from people,
This is the reason when people lose their freedoms is because they don't handle
because
them
people
right.
like you are the reason I'm here.
No, look, you'd be doing
You're
it,
the reason
you'd be doing
I'm
it
here.
somewhere else. Okay? You'd be doing
If
it
they did
somewhere
what
else.
you did, I will be. Stop getting in my face.
Dude, I can get anywhere. I
If
can
you
get as close
kiss
as I
me,
want.
I'll make out with you so much harder than you make out with me.
You guys ain't intimidating.
Hey, guess what?
I'm not intimidating.
We're not here to intimidate. We're here
You may not. Though.
We're here to educate.
Why did you arrest him? Yeah, why was he arrested?
Was it the word?
Was it the word?
Was it the word?
It wasn't the word, was it?
Was it the word?
Okay.
Oh, it was.
Ain't that a son?
It was the word.
Make yourself at home. Have a seat.
Oh my God, you must be so embarrassed right now. How embarrassing this must be for you.
I think he's calling his boss.
Oh, that'd be cool. Please do. I'll wait for him. And you heard him. He said, take a seat and make ourselves at home. That's what he said. So we aren't told to leave. So he calls the sheriff on us. Thank you.
The sheriffs have a conflict of interest.
They do?
Yeah.
Why?
They say that their departments work together, so it's a conflict of interest for them to get involved. Is why they would not send an officer over here to help me.
All right. What's your name?
I'm not telling you.
Okay. Well, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest.
Oh,
For
for
disorderly.
disorderly?
You get what you wanted.
How am I disorderly? How am I disorderly? How am I
Hang on,
disorderly?
y'all get premium YouTube.
How am I disorderly?
Huh? Using foul language in public
I'm
place.
allowed to, dude.
Yeah, okay, well, I just talked to the prosecutor, and he feels different.
Well, he doesn't know, and you're about to get into yourself a lot of trouble, brother.
Well, gladly.
Hey, you might want to be a little more chill on him.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
Dude, you're not gonna do that. All right? You're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that. You just shoved me in the doorway.
You're gonna come on. We're not gonna do that. Oh, yeah. You're out. Dude, we're doing middle of arrest. You guys ain't getting up here in the middle while I'm trying to work. Get out the door now.
I ain't outside the door. I'm outside the door.
Now you guys get out. I've had enough.
Hey, don't
out. Come on, come on.
touch me.
Listen, I'm trying to work here.
You ain't working.
Dude, back off.
Justin, request medical. Request medical. Request medical. Don't say a word. Not another word.
Yeah.
Back up.
Dover's fixing to be on, brother. I told you not to mess with me.
I got his phone. I guess I'll just give it to him. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
We appreciate it.
Peaceful. No following, screaming in cars.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep it peaceful.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So I just reported an assault to the Polk County Sheriff, and he drove away. So the random patriot just got arrested.
I see your busted lip, brother.
He choked me inside.
I believe you. I hope you got videos in the back.
He choked me inside.
I believe he did, brother. I got you.
He choked my neck. Inside, he choked me.
I see the red marks.
Chair.
He threw me down and choked me, I swear to God.
I see the red marks. You might want to start that car up this time, not walk away from it.
As Captain Lillard is escorting Mr. McHenry inside after handcuffing him, the camera footage shows Mr. McHenry's shoulder hitting the door frame. Captain Lillard then slams Mr. McHenry into a window and grabs the back of his head with his hand and pushes Mr. McHenry's face into the window, which, according to Mr. McHenry, busted his lip and bruised his tooth. When Mr. McHenry tells Captain Lillard that he busted his lip, he throws him to the ground, telling him to stay down, and then escorts him out of the range of the cameras. When Captain Lillard emerges from the building with Mr. McHenry alleges that Captain Lillard choked him. As we have discussed many times here on ATA, the determination of whether a police officer's use of force on an arrestee is excessive is evaluated under the Fourth Amendment, which prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures. And in the 1989 case of Graham versus Connor, the Supreme Court identified 3 factors that courts must consider in determining whether a use of force was constitutionally quote-unquote reasonable. Now, quoting from that case, the severity of the crime at issue, whether the suspect poses an immediate threat to the safety of the officers or others, and whether he is actively resisting arrest or attempting to evade arrest by flight. In the 1983 case of Bauer versus Norris, the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals held that, quote, verbal abuse alone does not justify the use of any force. Force can only be used to overcome physical resistance or threatened force. Similarly, in the 2023 case of Westwater versus Kevin Church, the Eighth Circuit determined that it is clearly established law in the circuit that it is objectively unreasonable to use more than so-called de minimis force, which is force that is so minor or trivial that it cannot rise to the level of a constitutional violation, to seize a non-threatening misdemeanor violator who was not fleeing, resisting arrest, or ignoring officer commands. In the 2022 case of Mitchell versus Kirkmeyer, the Eighth Circuit cited several cases establishing that so-called takedowns are more than de minimis force. And in the 1998 case of Geit versus Wright, the court determined that grabbing an individual's wrist and holding him against a door could constitute unreasonable force. Well, as such, Mr. McHenry would have a strong argument that the on-camera force Captain Lillard used against him was excessive, both in slamming him against the window and throwing him to the ground. Additionally, if Mr. McHenry was able to prove that Captain Lillard choked him, a court would almost certainly find that this use of force was excessive, as the Eighth Circuit held in the 2017 case of Tatum versus Robinson that, quote, suspects' Fourth Amendment rights to be free from excessive force are violated if officers choke, kick, or punch them when they are restrained, not fighting, and not resisting. And that, now quoting again, it violates the Fourth Amendment to choke a suspect who is handcuffed and not resisting. Well, Captain Lillard's alleged actions in choking Mr. McHenry could also constitute a criminal violation of Section 5-13-204 of the Arkansas Code, which states that, now quoting, a person commits aggravated assault if, under circumstances manifesting extreme indifference to the value of human life, he or she purposely impedes or prevents the respiration of another person or the circulation of another person's blood by applying pressure on the chest, throat, or neck, or by blocking the nose or mouth of the other person. Captain Lillard transported Mr. McHenry to the Johnson County Detention Center, despite the fact that Dover is in Pope County. Upon his arrival at the detention center, Mr. McHenry immediately informed a staff member that he had been choked, and photos were taken of all the marks on his body, including marks on his neck. Mr. McHenry was initially charged with disorderly conduct, and then later a charge of obstruction was added because Mr. McHenry did not provide his name when Captain Lillard asked for it before he was arrested. As of the date of writing this episode, the charges against Mr. McHenry, as well as Mr. Duos, are still pending. Mr. McHenry has posted several update videos to his YouTube channel, which include more information about the aftermath of the encounter and ongoing investigations by Mr. McHenry and 5-0 Media. I have included links to these update videos, as well as some videos regarding the incident published by 5-0 Media if you're interested in learning more. In one of his update videos, Mr. McHenry explained the choking incident in further detail.
I want to start by pointing something out. I am arrested outside. He then needs to take me to jail in his car that is also outside. There is no reason for him to take me inside other than he needed a doorway to slam me into. He then takes me to his back office while I'm still handcuffed, where there are no cameras and no witnesses. We do not do paperwork back there. We do not do any business of any kind. The only thing that happens is after the door is shut, he grabs me by my throat and squeezes. He pushes me to a chair by my throat and continues to squeeze before he actually has a look of shock on his own face when he lets go. I now start yelling that I've been choked and I need medical, to which he replies he will do the medical treatment on me in his back office. I refuse over and over until he finally just takes me outside.
Mr. McHenry has submitted a complaint with both the mayor and the chief marshal, and he has been informed that an investigation is underway. Overall, Captain Lillard gets an F for demonstrating an alarming disregard for the First Amendment, unlawfully arresting multiple citizens for using profanity, and using violently excessive force against a non-resisting handcuffed citizen. Now, while the alleged choking occurred off camera, Mr. McHenry did have marks on his neck that were documented during the booking process, and I'm inclined to believe him. And even if the choking were removed from the equation, Captain Lillard would still get an F for his on-camera uses of his force and his apparent belief that he can arrest a citizen for using the F word in public. The Supreme Court ruled more than 50 years ago that such speech is protected, making his actions legally and constitutionally indefensible. Mr. McHenry's arrest underscores the ongoing relevance of the Supreme Court's strong warnings in Cohen versus California about the dangers of government censorship of so-called offensive speech. And as long as officers like Captain Lillard remain in law enforcement, that threat to free expression remains. Mr. McHenry gets an A for confidently asserting his First Amendment rights, confronting Captain Lillard for his previous actions, and complying with his arrest without resisting. That being said, Mr. McHenry was also verbally aggressive and disrespectful at multiple points during the encounter. And while I certainly understand that he intentionally used profanity in order to make his point about the First Amendment, he also seemed to lose his temper a few times as well. On the whole, however, Mr. McHenry did an excellent job in voicing his objections to both his and Mr. Duo's arrests, taking appropriate action after the encounter, and spreading awareness of Captain Lillard's unlawful conduct. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic that you would like us to discuss in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to pick up your copy of the Civilian Rights Hand Guide in the links below.